Yoshi's Woolly World, one of the most adorable games Nintendo's ever made. It's a really fun platformer, one of the best 2D ones, I'd say. There's a bunch of creative ideas for the different levels. There's a bunch of different types of crafts that the levels are made of. The music is wonderful. The collectibles are pretty cool. And it's overall a really sweet game, and it's fun in co-op as well. And today I'm going to be ranking all the levels of the game. Anyway, so before I do that, I'd like to give credit to the channel Nintendo Base, because I'm using their video of Yoshi's Woolly World, the full game 100% walkthrough. I didn't ask, but thank you anyway. I hope this is okay. Anyways, thank you again, and let's get started. At 55, we have 1-S, Hang Tongue. Now, there are different special levels that reward you for getting different collectibles in the game. And this one is an interesting level because these special whole courses are trickier. They also have some nice, interesting songs in them. It's a pretty cool track. And you even get these special Yoshis, like you do most in the game. If you get all the Wonder Wool in each level, you get a special type of Yoshi. But these ones are, will give you like a Nintendo console design, which is pretty cool. This one gives you a Wii U one. Anyways, the theme of the level is waves, and so explains the title. Anyways, this one's pretty cool because you're hopping along the different waves, and it can be a bit tricky. It's not too particularly memorable, but hey, it is pretty cool, and definitely provides a nice challenge. 54, 1-1, Yarn Yoshi Takes Shape, the level right now. It's a pretty great introduction to the game. It shows you different mechanics, such as eating up enemies and yarn balls, and being able to unravel things and form platforms. It's pretty great with iconic music, and it's pretty sweet. Easy, of course, but it does a great job introducing the game. It's simple, but like I said, does its job. 53, 1-4, Big Montgomery's Fort. So this is the first of the fort levels. They're not too tricky, and some of them can feel a bit generic, particularly this one. But there is some neat stuff. You have lava, different lava bubbles, and different like platforms you can move. Then you have Big Montgomery at the end, and you fight him, and he'll crawl around in the floor. He's a bigger Monty Mole. He's not particularly tricky, but he is fun, and it's a great way to start the different bosses in the game, which are pretty cool actually, even if easy. 52, 4-2, Lakitu Peekaboo. For a world themed around forest, I don't think this one is very foresty. Anyways, you have different Lakitus, which hide in about. Isn't a bad thing, but it is auto-scroll at some points, which I'm not too fond of. Anyways, though, it is a pretty cool level. And I mean, all of them are, but it is a little simple. 51, 3-S, Will Bill's Last Ride. So the next level, Will Bill's Last Ride. So this level is another special course, but the gimmick here is you have this bullet bill at the start, or a woolet bill. But the thing that makes it tricky here is if you defeat this one woolet bill, the level becomes a lot harder. So you have to go about following it. There'll be different obstacles, like different enemies, and even a huge bullet bill near the finish. It's a pretty cool level, although I definitely have to admit it frustrated me a bit. You do get a GameCube Yoshi though. 50. 1-3, Sponge Cave Spelunking, the first cave level in the game, although there aren't too many. Anyways, though, the gimmick here is the different sponge, X the title, Sponge Cave Spelunking. You do a lot of spelunking here, and with the cave made out of different types of sponge, you have to find a way to make a path through, while still getting the collectibles, if you please. Anyways, though, it's pretty cool with some nice music. I like how calm, but also mysterious it is, which fits, you know? The game has a wonderful aesthetic, and the cave level, and this level isn't an exception. 49, 1-5, Nitty Nutty Windmill Hill. This level's gimmick is windmills, and trying to maneuver around them as you make platforms on the different fountains or blades of them. Pretty cool, it's simple, it feels like an iconic level though, even if it is easy. But you know what, most of the levels in the game are easy, but it's still pretty fun. Next up is 48, 1-8, Bert the Bashful's Castle. The first of the castle levels. You have these different enemies, the Berts, and they'll be jumping up and down. The level itself I don't think is too memorable, but it does its job. Anyway, so the boss is pretty cool because Bert is giant now, and in order to defeat him, you have to unravel his pants and ground pound him, I believe. Anyways, near the end, he's more of these clones, but after you finally defeat him, he just deflates as he shoots around the room with no pants on. Pretty funny. So yeah, pretty great introduction to the boss levels. Actually, I guess Montgomery was, but oh well. 47, 2-1, Across the Fluttering Dunes. The first level of World 2. It's a nice desert-themed level, and it isn't too generic, actually. There are a lot of the levels in the game definitely have a lot of creative ideas. This was not an exception. So in this one, you have this carpet that moves around, kind of like desert hills, which is pretty cool. You have these piranha plants that can be a bit tricky, but still pretty cool. Anyways, though, the music is pretty great, and it's overall just a great introduction to World 2, which is better than the first one. 46, 2-S, Perils of the Perplexing Pyramid. This is another special course, but I think it's pretty unique because it's not really about platforming and more about puzzles. You have to find different enemies in the stage, like a Koopa Troopa, and you want to guide them along to hit a switch, which is pretty cool. The hard part comes in keeping the enemy safe, and also being able to chase them. So it's pretty cool. And a great final level for World 2. You even get a Wii Yoshi. 45, 3-3, Scarful Scamper. Now, I wish there were more sweet themes level in World 3, since the first level was like that in World 3. Anyways, though, this one's still great. I really like the piano music here, and the Lakitus that climb on the Scarfuls, which are the gimmick of the level. And it's a pretty cool one at that. 44, 1-2, Bounce About Woods. A great second level. It introduces even more than the first one, or it adds on to it. So what this one does is you have to bounce along the different treetops with some really great music. And along with that, there's even the first transformation section. And these are pretty cool parts of the game. They're pretty fast action. And in this one, what you have to do is float around as an umbrella, which is pretty neat. So yeah, I think it's better than the first level. And it has some nice music, like I said. 43, 1-6, Shy But Deadly. The music here reminds me of Despicable Me. I know that's pretty random, but I do like it. Anyways, though, it's a pretty cool level. I like the gimmick of the Shy Guys here. They do appear a lot in the game. But in this one, they have different types of bombs, and we see those later on. It's an introduction to the idea, kind of. The music is great, like I said, and you have to find a way to make a path using the different bombs, which is pretty fun. So, yeah, great level. 42, 4-1, Monkeying Round and Round. The introduction levels to each world aren't the trickiest, but they are still pretty cool. This one has you swinging from different vines and avoiding the different monkeys, the Yukikis, I think they're called, like in Mario 64. It's a pretty cool level like a forest. Simple, like I said, but it's nice. 41, 3-2, Wobble Mobile Jaunt. This one's pretty interesting. It has a lot of toys in it, as you're going along what would be a mobile, kind of like in a baby's bedroom, or in a carriage. It's pretty cute, actually, and I guess that fits since, you know, the game is cute in its entirety. Anyways, though, you have different planets and moons and things to bounce along, and you even have these cool chicken enemies you can bounce on, which are pretty cool. It's a pretty vertical level. I like it. 40, 2-5, Spiky Stroll. I love the music on this course. It sounds like something you hear on a radio. It's calm, but it fits. You also have different spikes in the level to avoid, but of course, this is the introduction to Poochie, which we love Poochie. Poochie is an adorable dog who chases you around. You can ride atop him, and Poochie is tough enough to survive spikes, which is pretty neat. And luckily, this isn't the last time we see the adorable Poochie. The 3DS port even adds Poochie to the title, and I think we see more Poochie there. I don't have the 3DS port, just the Wii version, but still, adorable. Next up is 39, 2-2, Duplicious Delve. So, this level has these different types of mice, and it also introduces a mechanic I like a lot in the game. You have these doors, and when you go through them, you flip to the other side of the level. So stuff that you could see, but you couldn't reach, well, now you can see and reach them. It's pretty cool. I like the music, and I think the mice are interesting enemies. They'll try to take your yarn balls, which is charming. But anyways, though, a pretty great level. And I don't know if it qualifies as a cave level. It's a pretty creative one. 38, 2-4, Notwing the Koopa's Fort. So Notwing is like Big Montgomery, but he flies around more, and he's the Koopa. They're not very similar, actually. Anyways, in this fort level, it has a really creative aesthetic, and there's some lava here and there. And we have the Koopas as well. So, as for Notwing the Koopa himself, well, what he'll do is, he'll try to ground pound you, but you need to unravel the bow atop his shell, and he'll be flying around. He gets trickier later on, but here he's still pretty cool. So next up is 37, 4-S, Naval Piranha 2. Now it's personal. A very creative special level, because this one returns the boss of World 4, which we haven't delved into yet. It's essentially a huge piranha plant, but in this level, he's chasing you down, and getting the collectibles is pretty tricky here. And near the end, he really speeds up. It's a pretty cool one, and I'm pretty sure you get an N64 Yoshi after this, so yeah, pretty cool. 36, 3-4, Big Montgomery's Bubble Fort. A better Big Montgomery level. In this one, you have a bunch of bubbles to go on, and there's so much pink here. I just have to say. Anyway, so Big Montgomery now has a helmet and more enemies with him and throws spikes. So he is trickier here and more fun. A pretty great level, especially aesthetically. And obligatory, yeah, the level looks adorable. 35, 5-3, Flying Carpet Cruise. I love World 5. Not one of my favorite levels here, but it is still pretty neat. So in this one, you're riding along a carpet, or different types of carpets. And some of them are small, some are big. You have to make sure the enemies don't weigh it down though. It's pretty cool, and I like the whole sky aesthetic. And they even have a desert theme here. Kinda fits. So next up is 34, 3-6, Amazing Post Pounding. The music here is really funky, I have to say. Anyways though, it's a pretty creative maze kind of level under the ground. You have to pound these different posts and find your way along the level. It's pretty creative and really makes you think here. 37, 3-7, Fanciful Fluff and Feathers. This level has another cool transformation where you get to turn into Sky Pop Yoshi or an airplane and shoot down a bunch of enemies. It's a lot of fun. Anyways, though, the rest of the level has these. Man, I forgot what they're called. Anyways, though, they're these bird things, and you go along rainbows and clouds. The rainbows can disappear, though. It's a pretty nice looking level. A little generic, I guess, but you know what? It's great. 32, 3-5, Fluff and Puffin Babysitting. The Fluff and Puffins are pretty cool. They're like yarn balls, but they leave it behind a trail of clouds, which is pretty cool. I have to say, it's pretty neat. But beyond that, we have some really great music here, and you even have kind of the parents of these guys. So, yeah, it's pretty adorable. Sorry about the music there. Next up is 31, 4-3, Rolling Down the River. Another forest kind of level, and this one you have these big kind of fish, which, you know, Mario games have a lot of. Anyways, though, these guys try to eat them, chop around, and have Yoshi for lunch, or breakfast, depending on the time of day. Anyways, though, you ride around a river raft, and you even get to hear the first level theme again, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, nice level. 30, 4-4, Not the Koopa's Aqua Fort. Better than the first one, and it's a water level, so you might not like it too much, but the water levels in Yoshi are pretty cool, because he actually floats to the top. There's some pretty cool puzzles here, and Yoshi's back. But this time, in order to defeat Not the Koopa, you need him to ground pound on the spikes instead from the bridge, so that's pretty neat. Number 29 is 1-7, Quad Daddy Beach. I think this was the level that just made me fall in love with this game. If not for the incredible music, it's for the nice aesthetics of the beach. You have these different crab enemies, you have more sponge, and you have a really cool transformation of the motorcycle, one of my favorites. So yeah, great level, and I'm surprised they made something from the first world so fun. 28, 5-4, Big Montgomery's Ice Fort. The best of Big Montgomery's forts. This one has different penguins and sliding ice blocks, which is pretty cool. There's some pretty cool puzzles here, and you have to avoid getting crushed. As for Big Montgomery, well, this time he pops out of the ice, but he'll send you into the ceiling if you're directly above him on the floor. Anyway, so you have to pound the ice cubes above him to defeat him, and he still has the helmet, so yeah, he's pretty cool. He even rolls down the hill like a snowball, which is pretty funny. Number 27, 6-4, Not the Koopa Sky Fort. The game gets even better at World 6, which, you know, it progressively gets better, but this is my favorite world in the game, and this level's pretty cool. So, in this one, it's another Not the Koopa level, but it's better than the previous, because now you're in the sky, and you have different balloon platforms to go on. So, this is an auto-scrolling boss. I don't like auto-scrolls too much, but you know what? It's fun. Because in this one, you have to send a bullet bill, and you have to shoot it at Not the Koopa's, his, like, I'm not sure we call it, the cannon, yeah, on the back, which is pretty cool, and it can be tricky, but you do have different opportunities. It is pretty cool, actually. Anyways, though, beyond that, It is the final one of these mini bosses, and it's a pretty great way to end them off. 26, 2-3, Walk the Chomp to Unwind. Another really creative level early on. And this one, it's not the introduction of chomps. I'm pretty sure they're back in 1-3. But anyways, here you can move these guys along and roll them to defeat enemies and break blocks. There's a really cool part of the level where you need to get two particular chomps to go on switches, and you can go on top of spikes. So these chomps are pretty cool. You can even unravel them and have them chase you, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, it's a pretty sweet level. I like it. Number 25 is 2-6, Lava Scarves and Red Hot Blargs. So, the Blargs are these big dragon kind of enemies. And besides that, you have a lot of fire and lava in this level. And near the end, these guys chase you. It's pretty cool with great music. And it's overall a really great level. 24, 2-8, Bunsen the Hot Dog's Castle. So, in this level, you have these different enemies. They're pretty much like these hot dog enemies. These dogs that shoot out fire. So, yeah, hot dogs. So, Bunsen is pretty cool here, besides the level itself, which has different fire going along zippers, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so, you need to shoot yarn balls at Bunsen when he's gonna breathe out fire. Because then he burns his mouth, I believe, and you have to ground pound his tongue. Bunsen's pretty cool, but we do have to defeat him. So, it's a pretty cool level. Number 23 is 6-S. Skeleton Goonies Lava Layer. So, the final one of these special levels, actually, no, it's not, but, spoiler alert. Anyways, though, this one is pretty tricky, because, you have to go along these sinking platforms on the lava with these Skeleton Goonies, pretty cool enemy. Although, of course, the badge that allows you to be immune to fire and lava makes it a lot easier. The badges in the game are pretty cool. Anyways, though, it's a tricky level, but that badge makes it easier. Still fun, though. 22, 4-5, Sunset at Curtain Falls. The curtain levels are pretty cool, although there's pretty much only two of them. It is still a really unique idea because Yoshi clings on a carpet that rides along, and you have to jump at the precise time to get the collectibles. There's a beautiful sunset here, and it does stick out quite a bit. 21, 4-8, Naval Piranha Sewer. So this is the original Naval Piranha level. There's a lot of water and different pipes here, which is pretty neat, and piranha plants. I think I said that already. Anyways, though, Naval Piranha's pretty cool, and I didn't really like him too much, but I think it's pretty cool now, because what you have to do to defeat him, you have to send a bomb that one of the piranha plant little guys shoots out, and you have to spit it in his mouth at the precise time, and throughout the battle there's different points you have to hit, so it's a pretty neat one. Neat boss, I like, and it definitely keeps on your toes with the different piranha plants. Next up is 6-2, Snag Snitch Mountain. Another fantastic World 6 level. In this one, you have these different bullet bills that'll fire at you, but along with that, you have these different spikes that you can turn into platforms. Not really spikes, but anyways, these enemies, and they're pretty tricky because you have to find the right timing, but they are still pretty cool. Anyways, though, we also have another transformation sequence here. I think it's another umbrella, so it's a pretty cool one. Number 19 is 4-6, Spooky Scraps. Don't get spooked. So this is a pretty cool haunted, spooky level, although it's still adorable, because come on, this is Yoshi. Anyways, though, this has the silhouette gimmick. The gimmick that a lot of games seem to be doing nowadays, and you know what? Good for them. It's a really cool one. I'm pretty sure it started with Donkey Kong Country. Anyways, though, so the gimmick here is that you have these silhouette shadow platforms, but they only appear behind, I guess you'd call the curtain or the cloth paper. Anyway, some enemies, like the Shy Guy Ghost, they turn into these creatures with teeth, so it's pretty tricky with some great music. And overall, it's a pretty fantastic level. Number 18 is 6-1, Layer the Smooch Spiders. A great way to start off World 6. You climb on different cobwebs, and you have to avoid the smooch spiders. Some really great, mysterious music here, and you really get the feeling that this is the final world, which is probably what they're going for. So, pretty cool. 17, 3-1, Yoshi and Cookies. Man, what an adorable level. You have a bunch of these different cookie platforms that sink, these enemies that shoot out buttons at you, a bunch of different types of sweets. It's a very sweet, level. So it's a great introduction for World 3. 16, 6-3, Vamoose the Lava Sluice. What a cool name. Anyways, though, this level has a lot of different lava types, and being the final world, I guess that makes sense. Anyways, though, you have to vamoose the lava sluice here, as the title suggests, and with these different sinking platforms, it can be pretty tricky, but still a pretty cool level. Number 15 is 6-5, Yoshi, the Terror of All Boos. Another spooky kind of level, although this time you have boos. Now, as long as you're not facing towards them, you can throw yarn balls, and if they can hit the boos, then they'll rise up in the air when they're full of yarn, so that's pretty cool. Great music, and being a kind of scary level, it kind of makes sense that it's more puzzling, and I kind of like that. It's also funny that Yoshi would be the terror of all the boos, because, come on, look at him. Anyways, though, 14. 4-7, Yoshi branches out. A really neat level, and a great forest one at that. So in this one, you have these different spinning kind of platforms. You can spit them out, and depending on when you land on them, you can have them fly in different directions. You have a bunch of these different branches. It's a very vertical level, which is pretty neat. A lot of great music here as well. And I really like the whole aesthetic of being with these among the treetops. Next up is 13, 5-1, Fluffy Snow, here we go. Man, I love this level, if not just for the amazing music, which already makes it fantastic. It's a really nice level. You start off with a huge snowball, you get to crush a bunch of enemies left. Then you go underground and you hear a more relaxing, somber tune. You get to shoot different fire through ice blocks, which is pretty neat. And you also have another motorcycle transformation, so nice. Anyways, though, at the end you have a huge snowball chasing you, so you gotta be careful there to survive it. So yeah, it's a wonderful introduction to World 5, which I love quite a bit. So next up is 12, 5-S, Yoshi's Curtain Call. So this is a really nice level to end off World 5, and it's another curtain level, so that's pretty awesome. This one is really cool. You get to go high up in the air with these curtains and among the stars. It's really beautiful, and it is a pretty fun, fast-paced level. Yeah. Oh, you also get an SNES Yoshi here, so that's pretty awesome. Oh, I also forgot to mention you can get an NES Yoshi back in the special level of World 6. Anyways, 11, 5-2, Frozen Solid and Shield. I love the music here. It sounds really calm and mysterious, and man, just listen to yourself. It just fits really well with the level. Anyways, you have these different fish that shoot out water here, but you can turn them into ice and be shot into the air. You also have kind of these sniff it guys, and they shoot out ice, which is pretty cool. There's even a huge ice well you can go in. It's a pretty awesome level, honestly. Entering the top 10 with 5-8, Sniffberg the Unfeeling's Castle. So Sniffberg's a pretty creative boss. Although I can't say the level is too creative, it is still pretty neat. It's themed around ice, not really much else to say. Anyways though, the boss is pretty awesome, because of the way you defeat him. You have to shoot 3 yarn balls at him, to make him fall into the spikes and ground pound him. But he also has different attacks, like sending ice raining down throughout the level, and having a bunch of spiked snowballs, or ice balls, I would call them. So that's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool boss, and I like how the music goes along with when you hit him. So yeah, it also looks pretty cool when he's in that huge ice cube. Number 9 is 5-7, Snowy Mountain Lift Tour. Another really sweet level for World 5, and it brings back the music from Fluffy Snow. Here we go. So in this one, there's a lot of verticality as you ride around these lift platforms. You need to hit switches to make them go higher or change the direction and the path they go with. You have a lot of penguins, and near the end, you have to be careful not to fall into the pit. And you have a lot of ice as well. So yeah, adorable level. Number 8, 2-7, The Desert Pyramid Beckons. I love this level. It's one of the highlights for the early game. It's a really creative puzzle kind of level where you have to get different keys, and the way you do that is finding these rooms with torches, and you have to find a way to light all the torches. The music is really neat here, and I like the different types of Shy Guys that are kind of like pharaohs. Anyways, near the end you have to avoid a bunch of spikes, and it's a really cool level, and it shows how to properly do an amazing desert level. Number 7 is 5-5, A Little Light Snowfall. The music here it really fills you with the Christmas spirit. I know it's like April. Anyways though, there's a bunch of falling snow here, which is really cute. The snow itself doesn't damage you, but you have to be careful around the enemies. It is a really nice level, and like I said, love that music. Next up is Miss 6, 3-8, Miss Cluck's The Insincere's Castle. So before Miss Cluck, we have a bunch of these different chickens in the level, and they'll even wear these shells to disguise themselves, which is pretty cute. And near the end of the level, you have to ride along the Bullet Bill's path, which is pretty cool. The boss itself has some really awesome music, and it's one of my favorite bosses because in order to defeat Miss Cluck, you have to unravel the yarn from underneath her, but she is pretty quick, and it reveals that it was just a chiclet. Is that what you call it? You know what I mean. And which is pretty funny, but also cute. So yeah, awesome boss. Number 5, 6-7, Kamek's Last Ditch Flyby. So the level before the final boss, it is pretty climactic as Kamek flies around the level. There's a bunch of those skeleton goony guys, and there's a bunch of this really cool like ominous fog, which is nice. A lot of verticality, and Kamek's here, so that's pretty cool. As we see him throughout the game, we get to face him, so that's pretty neat. 4, 5-6, Up Shuttle Thread Pass. I have a lot to say about this level. I'll keep it simple. So, I remember when I first played the game, since I've had 2 playthroughs of the game now, this level was just infamous for being this really long puzzle level, and if you're going to collect everything like I did on my second playthrough, it can be certainly tricky, but the music is just so calming. The mix of the different colors is really nice, and the shuttle thread platforms are pretty cool. It's a really sweet looking level, and you even have like the different flipping mechanic, which I like. So yeah, tricky, yeah. Confusing, definitely. Adorable, yeah, of course. Number 3, 6-6, Touch Fuzzy Get Clingy. This is a really cool level, as unlike the fuzzies from the original game, these ones don't make you trip out. They just allow you to climb on these conveyors, which is pretty cool. There's some great music here. It's pretty cool Yoshi sticks to these platforms. It's overall just a really solid level with a great mechanic. Number 2, 6-8, King Bowser's Castle. So we have the final level of the game where Yoshi finally sets out to bring back his friends who've been unraveled. So he goes along the level, and you have to get different types of yarn, kind of, and it's you even get to fly off at the beginning of the level to the castle, and you have to get different colors to shoot at the baby Bowser statues. So almost called him Bowser Jr. Anyways, though, it's a pretty great level, and you even have a cool auto-scrolling section. You know how I feel about those, but still pretty cool. Anyways, though, when we finally face on Baby Bowser, he's a wonderful boss. Maybe that's exaggerating. Maybe he's more of like a Woola for a boss. Terrible pun, I know. Anyways, though, so what makes him so great is that he'll be shooting different fires around, but if you're quick enough, you can shoot the different yarns at him, and you're able to defeat him when you ravel him up with a yarn. So that's pretty cool. Then you have this final phase, and then here it makes a bunch of these huge yarn balls rain down, and you have to throw them like at these big wonder walls, which is pretty cool. And being big, he'll be able to just jump around and shoot fire out, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty awesome boss, and we finally get to bring back Yoshi's adorable friends, more so than most of them throughout the game. And finally, at number 1, we have Stardust S. Wonderful World of War. Getting all the different collectibles is really worth it here for this level. Now, unlike most final levels like in Mario games, it's not really a huge challenging gauntlet. Instead, it's like a montage throughout the game, which, those aren't my words, but still, it's just a really sweet level. As you start off with World 1, you have a bunch of the windmills. World 2 has more of the Bunsons and the rolling desert hills. World 3 has a bunch of the bubbles and the different birds and rainbows. World 4 has the raft and the piranha plants. World 5 has moving ice and spikes. World 6 has Kamek and Poochie and lava. And then finally at the end, we have some really just, man, it's just really surprisingly bittersweet for a game as cute as this. You finally get to the end of the levels, you go down some waterfalls, maybe not waterfalls, anyways though. You return to similar looks to the first level of the game, and you have Poochie to finish it off. It's just what a sweet level, and the title was really fitting. Wonderful World of War. Thank you for watching this video, and Yoshi is cute. Have a great day.